September 3rd, 2022. Calvin and Judy Castine at the Old Base Oval for the latest North Country Honor Flight. I believe it's number 40, but we'll find out for sure before we get too far along. It's about 6:10, 6:15, somewhere in that area. The sun is just lighting the ground here, and we hear the first sirens in the background as the veterans heading for Washington, D.C. will start arriving momentarily, apparently. And we were right. We were right. The bikes are arriving. And they're bringing in a veteran or two. Stop and get the official picture taken here from David Brown. Honor flight sending veterans of U.S. military to Washington, D.C. to look at the monuments. They'll spend the day there and be back in the area by tonight. They started this here as a program, national program, to honor the World War II veterans. And it has certainly expanded over the years, and now they're sending all veterans, but they still have a priority. They try to go by, they can still find a World War II veteran who's capable of making the trip. They become number one on the priority list. And then Korean veterans, now a whole lot of Vietnam veterans going. And they'll even send veterans from the recent conflicts, particularly if there's a health problem involved. And a year ago we had someone who was who passed away shortly after going for his honor flight. And every time we do this, the crowd seems to get bigger and bigger. Temperature is about 57, 58 degrees when we arrived here. The people who are here with the short sleeves on, I applaud them. The veterans will sit underneath the big tent here along with their guardian. They have a guardian that goes with them. Barry, oh, Barry's busy. I knew he'd be busy, but hi, Larry Ebert.
Hey, Calvin, how's it going? You're up bright and early again this morning?
Well, I'm up early. I don't know about the bright part, but I'm here.
Yep.
Nose jacket on. I know you're tough.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm tough. Yep.
If you're real nice to Barry Finnegan, he'll give you one of these fancy jackets here, you know.
Yeah, okay. At least we got a nice morning, huh?
Yes, we do. A beautiful morning.
That's always my worst fear is the weather condition. Like Janet and I are going out October 1st. So we're praying for like beautiful weather October 1st.
There's one of the flight, what do they call them? The Harry Treadway, him and Greg Lee are going to be what?
Flight leaders?
Flight leaders today.
Yeah, they're the flight leaders. Two flights.
Is it really number 40 going out today?
40 and 41.
Hard to believe, huh?
Yeah, 40 and 41.
40 and 41 flights, so just amazing. Just amazing. So you're going to be singing for us today?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be singing today. I'm not on the schedule.
Oh my God!
I think they got the the kids from is it
Oh, yeah.
Saranac or whatever?
Yeah, Saranac, yeah.
They're gonna come and sing the Red, White, and Blue, and because Janet has a lot of bios to read, like
Yeah.
almost 38 or 39 bios, because some of the veterans that are guardians are veterans.
Right.
So there's an extra amount of veterans, and it's going to take her probably figuring a minute a piece. So there's 40 minutes here
Yeah.
to do the bios and stuff. So anyway, yeah, that's why I'm not singing, I guess. So
Okay.
maybe next time on my flight, October 1st. That would be
Or
good.
maybe I'll get you a command performance here
Yeah.
while we're waiting for the bus to show up.
Yep.
Harry Treadway. Hey.
How are you, sir?
You made it all the way to flight leader right here.
Oh, yeah, I know. They couldn't find anybody else.
So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. This is my third time doing it, so
Oh, okay.
hopefully it'll be fine. Yeah,
So you're a veteran.
I'm a veteran of the veterans. That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a great day.
And like me, you were involved with the very first one, weren't you?
Yes, sir, I was. Yeah. I think you've taken my picture a couple times. Never broke the camera either.
Not yet, no.
Yeah. It gets bigger and better, doesn't it?
Hard to believe this is flight 40 and 41.
I know. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And you know, I'm usually out there with the motorcycle guys. I'm missing that.
One flight will be devoted entirely to the motorcycle group.
Yes, that's correct. The Combat Vets Motorcycle Organization is going to be flight 40, and then 41 is going to be the normal flights.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's an honor that they allowed us to do that.
Yes. So it's going to cut down on the bikes that are here.
Oh, I know. Quite a few of them.
Yeah, we're going to cut down. There'll be at least 20 bikes that won't be.
At least it won't be here. That's correct. But
They'll be here, but they won't be here in the
right,
bikes.
we won't be riding the bikes. No, sir.
All right. Thank you, Harry.
Yeah, take care.
Yep.
Have a good day.
You too. Have a good trip. Looks like the Rouse's Point contingent has arrived. A couple of guys I went to school with, Billy Letourneau over here, graduated with back in 1964. Eddie Gelino was in my class briefly. He jumped between Champlain and St. Mary's, and Dave Pickering, he's the young guy of the group there. They're arriving here. How we doing, young man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Introduce yourself here, young fella.
My name is Michael Carabello.
Mike, I've known you for many years now. You and Jim King were good buddies.
Oh, great. Yeah, he's coming this time.
Is he?
Yeah, he's going to be on this flight.
Jim's going on the flight?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
holy cow.
Yeah.
He must be almost as old as you because you've already been.
Oh, yeah. Man, it's great. This is a great day.
It is a great day.
Yeah.
You're one of those fellows who came up here in the air base and decided to stick around, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. This is great.
This is great. It's
I'm
always
looking forward to see Jim King.
well, when you see him, give an extra hoot so I'll know he's here.
Oh, great.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, take it easy.
Yep. Try to turn slowly because when I turn fast, the camera gets a little blurry, we've learned over the years. Only took me 40 years to figure that out. Here, sirens are coming, so here comes a fire truck. From all parts of the North Country, and Vermont included. I think we've even had some people who now reside in Canada, but who are American veterans who have been on these flights. Well, if Barry's going to get his picture taken with every veteran, I'll never get a chance to talk to Barry Finnegan. and Janet Dupree helping to greet the veteran families. Kevin Triller over there also helping out. All Sable Forks Fire Department. That's the one leaving. That's Keysville. And All Sable Forks emergency vehicle. And a whole bunch of bikers. All right, if you want some wallpaper hung, this is the guy to get right here.
Yeah, that'd be Greg Lee.
Barry Finnegan, flight 4041. It's great getting here, isn't it?
Yeah, boy, they're all coming in. It seems like everything happens all at once. But no, great event, great morning. Weather's with us, and we're excited for all these veterans to go.
All right, Jackie DeFulvia was just telling me about the wreath laying today, wreath laying. So
Yeah,
tell me about that.
For the
if you
first time, we've always been a little hesitant about doing that because it adds another layer of activity down there, and timing is involved. So we're proud to do that. We think it's going to be a great event, and we'll see. Let's hope it goes out without a hitch. But it's an honor to be able to do that at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Okay, that's the thing.
It
She
doesn't
told me
get
off
any
camera.
more. Yeah.
So it's on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Yeah, and to get to lay a wreath out on the tomb itself with the guards present, just total honor in every way. I'm the guys that are going, Harry Treadway, Greg Lee, and Richard Cutting are just, they deserve to bring that wreath out there, no doubt.
She gave credit to
I'm very
Richard
proud
Cutting for doing it. Uh-oh, Janet, your boss is here. Uh-oh.
No, I'm very proud they asked me to go with them, but yeah, we're excited to do that. It should be something special.
So you're going too?
Yeah, something we've never done, and we hope it goes well.
Okay, good luck.
Okay.
Anything else? Barry?
Let's have a good day, and come on back tonight at 8:30 for the return.
Okay.
Welcome them home.
All right.
Thanks,
care,
buddy.
Barry.
Appreciate it.
What a nice morning, though.
Hey, it's a beautiful morning in the neighborhood, and we've got Wendell Hughes here. What are you doing up there so bright and early, Wendell?
Yeah. Running the parking lot.
Running the parking lot.
Running the parking lot. Had to go jump start one of the motorcycle riders this morning down at Stewart's. Have you ever jump started a motorcycle?
No, I've never done that.
It was on a trike. You have to take the seat apart and go through the back.
Yeah.
It was fun. I've never done that. I can't say that tomorrow, though.
You've done something new today.
Right.
So you get up what time? I got up at 4 today, just for the heck of it.
I was here at 4.
You were here at 4.
At 4.
I knew whatever I said, you'd have to best
No,
me.
I tied you. I was
No,
here.
you were here, so
I was here at 4 o'clock this
I was
morning.
only opening my eyes.
I only live around the corner too. I don't live in Champlain. No, I was. We were here at 4 o'clock this morning. We get the chair set, parking lot set. By the time we get everything together, it's Greg Lee, and Greg Lee runs the show. I help Greg.
All right. And Greg's going on the trip today.
Yes.
Yeah,
Danny.
I got one of my fans over here,
Yeah.
Cynthia.
All right. Well, thanks, Calvin.
Take care.
Have
Wendell
a good
Hughes
day.
here.
Have a good day.
He's working hard.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Mr. Calvin.
My wife's wearing her visor.
Is she good?
Yes,
Good.
she
See, I got a good clue. Got to look cool. That's all there is to it. How you been? Good.
I've been running very well, yes.
Good. Nice summer. Tell your wife I said hi.
All right, she's over there in the car. She's
Waiting.
waiting. Yeah.
Have a good day.
Okay. See you later. The bikes have been gathering, as we can see. It's now about 20 before 7, and this once serene scene there is being inundated by very enthusiastic people who are here for this send-off. They recently started doing 2 flights on each of their event days, so there's 8 flights going this year. These are flights number 5 and 6, and in a month there'll be flights number 7 and 8 for the year 2022. It is now moments before 7 a.m. and they always start exactly on time. Tom, excuse me, Alec, the master of ceremonies always starts on time here. They keep a tight schedule. All the veterans and their guardians are situated.
By the early one.
Reveille. American Legion Post 912 and Sons of the Legion. The sun is bright and coming in over my right eye right now.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to flights 40 and 41.
Barry Finnegan.
By the end of today, we'll have sent 620 North Country veterans on a trip of a lifetime.
All right.
Today you'll notice something a little bit different. We have our regular flight, which is flight number 41, with all our regular veterans and worthy people, each and every one of them. We're proud to bring them. Flight number 40 is different. Flight number 40 is the Combat Vet Motorcycle Association. To anybody that's ever been to an honor flight, you know what that is and how instrumental they are in getting the honor flight to where it is today. We're just so proud to do this for them. They've earned it and deserved it, and we're proud to do it. If anybody remembers that first ride from honor flight number 1 at 4 o'clock in the morning, we met here, and those guys escorted those veterans all the way to Albany on a 35-degree morning. Pretty rough, things of legend. We've got some great pictures of it, and from that point forward, they've been huge for the North Country Honor Flight. So we're very proud to do that, and we think they're going to have a great day.
As Gordy and I were riding in a bus, we
Of course,
felt very sorry
now
for
times
those
are
bikers.
changing a little bit. We have found things are getting a little bit more expensive. Of course, with inflation, it's hitting everybody, and it's hit us as well. We have kind of sent out little words that we are not as well off as we once were. We were sitting pretty for a little while. Everything was real smooth. Then all of a sudden, the price of the charters went up, and we started spending money that we didn't realize we were going to have to spend. But I want to thank everybody in the North Country. They have stepped up, and we are going to be okay. We are going to make it. This program will continue. It'd be very difficult to thank each sponsor and each person individually, but everybody has stepped up and made donations. We got one very special donation The North Country Board of Realtors has been part of Honor Flight since the beginning also. Every year they do fundraisers in different forms, and there's always checks coming in numerous times per year. So they finally wrote one big check.
That's a big one.
So thank you to the North Country Board of Realtors for sponsoring flight number 41. We appreciate that, and can't tell you how crucial the timing is for them to do that. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tom Hollick from Mountain Lake PBS. He's your MC for the day, as always, and does such a great job. And thank him for coming all the time. We appreciate his time.
Happy to do it. It's an honor. Morning and welcome, everyone. What a beautiful day. If you would please join me in standing and giving a warm welcome to United States Air Force and Vietnam veteran Glenn Miller for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Fantastic. Thank you, Glenn. It is now my pleasure to welcome United States Marine Corps Flight Leader, Combat Veteran, and Vietnam Veteran Greg Lee to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Greg's the other
Please join me.
flight leader today.
Face the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Greg. We would like to welcome and recognize our representatives and dignitaries joining us this morning. New York State Senator Dan Steck, representing Northern New York in the 45th Senate District. New York State Assemblyman Billy Jones, who represents Clinton and Franklin counties in the 115th Assembly District. Michael Cashman, Town Supervisor in the town of Plattsburgh. And is Chris Rosenquist here? Okay. Clinton County legislators, Wendell Hughes, Calvin Castine, and Dave Bazzaio are here with us this morning. And it is now my pleasure to welcome and introduce United States Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who represents New York's 21st Congressional District. Congresswoman, good morning.
Thank you, Tom. Well, it's truly an honor to be here today. It's great to see so many people in the general public turn out to share our gratitude and our thank you to our veterans. You know, this district, New York's 21st Congressional District, has more veterans than any other district in New York State. And I think that goes back to generation upon generation, going back to our founding days, of this sense of service and sacrifice above self. It is so important that we thank our veterans of every generation. We have a Korean War veteran who's on one of the honor flights today, the Vietnam War veterans, as well as Iraq and Afghanistan veterans and Cold War veterans on this flight. It is important to teach our young people, so thank you to the parents and grandparents who brought their young children and grandchildren here today. I've been honored to be a part of the North Country Honor Flight since I've taken office, either participating in the send-offs or oftentimes, which is very special, meeting our veterans at the monuments in Washington, D.C., seeing the joy and the gratitude for all of the supporters to give them that opportunity to spend such a special day, seeing the monuments, but also visiting the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. There's nothing more important to say than thank you on behalf of not only the elected officials, but on behalf of the American people, on behalf of the communities in the North Country. We can never thank you enough. You're going to have a wonderful day. Good luck.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Please join me now in welcoming Joe Patnode, the Clinton County American Legion commander, to pay tribute to Honor Flight veterans who have passed since our last flight. Joe?
As I read the names here today, we only have we have 4 of them this time, which is unfortunate. But after I read the names, we will have a firing detail by post 20, and then we will have taps following that. So just be for the firing detail. Please uncover while I read the names. Flight 36, Walter Martini. Flight 7, Maurice Southmaid. Flight 33, Dale Stephans. Flight 19, Aubrey Hill.
And now, a special part of our program every time, please join me in welcoming the Morrisonville Elementary School Choir under the direction of Heidi Glover with their original song, Red, White, and Blue. Thank you. Please welcome Mike Farrell for our closing prayer.
Excuse me, good morning. Flight 41 and 40, from everybody here, we would like to thank you for your service and for our freedom. Thank you very much. Let's go to Heavenly Father above for prayer. And I brought my favorite veteran with me today. And my son. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for a beautiful start to this day. We thank you for a community that has come out to support our warriors. Warriors that pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to defend the land of the free and the home of the brave. Warriors for God and country. Today, those flying on flights 40 and 41 will recall individual experiences of their time while serving. It is our corporate prayer, Heavenly Father, that each veteran and each guardian feels your blessing upon this day, that your journey mercies deliver them safely to their memorials, and while they visit, may they create memories they will long cherish. Also, Father, we pray for a safe return to a warm and heartfelt welcome home. We seek this blessing in Jesus' name. Amen.
It is now my pleasure and honor to welcome Director of Operations Janet Dupree, who will introduce our veterans for today's flights.
Okay, I think we're ready now. I'm going to ask for your patience as I take just a few minutes to introduce Flight 40. It is a unique flight, as all the veterans are members of the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, CVMA. These combat veterans have been supporting the efforts of Honor Flight since the beginning 10 years ago. Co-flight leaders, Harry Treadway and Greg Lee, are two of our longest serving and most dedicated Honor Flight veterans. It's my privilege to introduce these combat veterans today as I read each individual bio. Please, as always, show your respect. Kevin Burrell, U.S. Army, 1985 to 2007, Cold War combat veteran. As a member of the Combat Engineers, Kevin had several assignments, including Bosnia, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq. Kevin's unit constructed many bridges while serving in harm's way. Kevin was submitting retirement papers when his unit received orders to go into combat. He had his orders pulled to serve with his regiment. Kevin is most proud his entire unit came home with no casualties and only 3 wounded veterans who received Purple Hearts. Kevin earned many ribbons and decorations, including the Bronze Star, as he completed a very distinguished 22-year military service career. Kevin Burrell. Russell Cole, U.S. Army, 2008-2009, Afghanistan combat veteran. Russ received training at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he became an 11 Bravo infantryman, serving with the 27th Infantry Brigade. His unit served in Afghanistan as part of Operation Enduring Freedom. Returning to the United States, Russ volunteered to work with a special program, community-based health care, to help returning veterans receive their much-deserved health care benefits. For 3 years, Russ also assisted his fellow veterans to adjust to society. With his U.S. Army and Reserve service, Russ served our country for 15 years. Russell Cole. All Ronald Doshna, U.S. Army, 1968 to 1970, Vietnam combat veteran. Ron was assigned to the 34th Engineers Battalion as a truck driver. Ron and his twin brother Dennis were ready to go to Vietnam. At the time, brothers were not allowed to go into combat together. Ron went to a commanding office, signed papers not allowing Dennis to go. Ron went to Vietnam, his brother didn't. But the next day, Dennis went to another office and signed papers saying Ron could not go. Already in Vietnam, Ron was sent to the airport to pick up the next replacements. He loaded them on the truck, but one was missing. He found a guy sleeping with his hat pulled over his head. Ron kicked him, told him to wake up, and yes, indeed, it was Dennis. Ronald Doshna. Leslie Fleury, U.S. Navy, 2003 to the present, Iraq combat veteran. Leslie is currently serving in the Navy Reserve as a Chief Hospital Corpsman. She served a 10-month tour in Iraq with the Marines. Leslie's scariest time was rocket-propelled grenades coming into the compound area. On guard duty, Leslie was making rounds one night. Two guys were spooning to keep warm. Of course, Leslie made sure that everyone knew about it. Leslie Fleury. Robert Gagnon, U.S. Marine Corps, 1971 to 1973, Vietnam combat veteran. Bob trained at Parris Island, South Carolina, and Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where he trained as a 0311 rifleman. He continued training at Camp Pendleton, California. Bob's unit was sent to Okinawa and then on to Vietnam, where he was assigned to the 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines, 1st Marine Division in South Vietnam. The 9th Marines were a heavily decorated unit. Bob's unit boarded a ship in 1973 and became part of Operation Frequent Wind. Bob and his wife Kathy, of 41 years, enjoyed their quiet life in Owl's Head. Robert Gagnon. Lawrence Hart, U.S. Air Force, 1984 to 2007, Cold War combat veteran. Larry had an MOS 275X0, tactical air controller. With boots on the ground, Larry called in support, air support, and artillery. Larry had training, aircrew, aerospace medical service craftsman, and public health apprentice. When they were in the desert, Larry said a captain drove into a pool of water and needed to be pulled out. We wonder how the captain explained that one. Lawrence Hart. Raymond LaFlamme, U.S. Army, 2001 to 2012, combat veteran. Ray, better known as Link, decided to try out the various military branches. He started with the U.S. Navy Seabees and served in the Navy, Air Force, and Army, where he was a truck driver. Before Homeland Security was formed, Link was stationed at Indian Point Nuclear Power Plant in Westchester County. Link also went to Ground Zero during Hurricane Katrina on a humanitarian mission. Link's favorite moment was walking into a recruiting station and falling in love with the sergeant, his beloved Kim Lathrop, who was recruiting for the Army. Raymond LaFlamme. A name you just heard, Kim Lathrop, U.S. Army, 1992 to 2015, combat veteran. Kim joined the Army as a medic with assignments at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, Fort Hood, Texas, Fort Drum, New York, Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington, and overseas at Camp Monteith, Kosovo, and Fire Base Hammer, Iraq. Kim enjoyed bouncing around all sorts of terrain in an Army ambulance, traveling from site to site. She slid down a 100-foot gulch in Hawaii, trying to find a point of contact and a navigation point, grabbing on vines on the way down. Sure sounds like lots of fun. Kim received many medals and citations for her 23 years of military service to our country. Kim Lathrop. Robert Lawrence, U.S. Army, 1984 to 2007, Iraq combat veteran. After basic training, Robert went for additional training as a combat engineer, 17th Engineer Battalion. Assigned to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Robert trained as a surveyor. After his enlistment, Robert joined the Army Reserve and completed training in loading helicopters and drill sergeant training. Using his extensive training, Robert went to Iraq and trained Iraq national soldiers. Robert received many medals and citations for his service to our country. Robert Lawrence. Basil Matthews, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Army, 1972 to 1981, Vietnam combat veteran. Following basic training at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, Basil served as a security policeman. Matt's favorite training was working with K-9s in Texas. He was stationed at many bases in the U.S. and around the world. While in Thailand, Matt was involved in Operation Bullet Ship and the bombing of North Vietnam as that war was ending. Leaving the Army, Matt joined the New York State Police. He won the Commissioner's Shooting Award for marksmanship. A member of the Vermont Army National Guard, Matt was called to serve in Kuwait and Iraq during Operation Iraq Freedom. Matt retired from military service in the State Troopers after dedicated service to country and community. Basil Matthews. Douglas Moran, U.S. Army, 1973 to 2007, Cold War combat veteran. Doug received training in telecom operator, motor transport operator, and senior instructor. At night in Iraq, the compound was ground attacked, so helicopters were called in to repel the enemy. The soldiers in the compound bunkers were also returning fire at the enemy. Doug wanted to look over the wire and bunkers, so stood up on concrete next to him. Tracer rounds and rocket explosions lit up the entire area. Doug looked up and realized he was standing underneath the American flag and thought of the Star-Spangled Banner. Whenever he hears the national anthem, he thinks of that moment. This is patriotism. Douglas Moran. Edward McMahon, U.S. Army, 1967 to 1969, Vietnamese combat veteran. Ed was assigned to a new group of engineers called the Airborne Combat Engineers. The 1st Corps operated in the area around Pleiku and Da Nang in South Vietnam. The unit was designed to go into areas that could only be reached by helicopter. The heavy equipment had to be small enough to be transported by sky cranes or giant Chinook helicopters into remote areas in the jungle. They also built camps for the special forces to occupy, gun pads, airstrips, and defense positions. Ed is proud to be sharing this day in D.C. with guardian granddaughter Hannah. Edward McMahon. Keith Miro, U.S. Army, 1972 to 1992, combat veteran. With the 2nd Combat Army Engineer Regiment, Keith realized if trouble started, his group would be the first to go. When they were not in the field, they increased their training to be fully prepared. Keith was assigned to the prisoner of war team, working with military personnel and interrogators. As the first battle, the team policed all foot soldiers near the tanks. In constant contact with the commander, their mission was to capture the enemy. So many enemy soldiers laid down their weapons, and those who continued to fight lost their lives. The team processed 2,000 enemies with a sad casualty loss of one team member, Keith Merrill. Terry Peters, U.S. Army National Guard, 1974 to 1980, combat veteran. Terry was stationed with the 3rd Brigade Combat Team at Fort Polk, Louisiana. As a member of the Army National Guard, Terry was in the 108th Infantry Unit. Terry's MOS, Military Operational Specialty, training provided logical, progressive individual skills. Participants are trained and educated in skills enabling them to contribute to efficient team members. Terry Peters. David Rabideau, U.S. Air Force, 1977 to 1997, combat veteran. Dave was assigned to the Civil Engineering Squadron as a utility system craftsman for 8 years. For the next 12 years, Dave served a tactical aircraft maintenance craftsman. With his expertise, Dave traveled throughout the world, performing his duties in 43 countries. Dave spent a year in Malaysia, assigned to the State Department in a top-secret duty assignment. He was selected to take part in the BRAC Commission for base closures in the early 90s. Dave was the last official active duty personnel assigned to the Plattsburgh Air Force Base as it closed in 1995. David Rabideau. Roger Sayward, U.S. Navy, 1962 to 1966, Vietnam combat veteran. Roger served as an onboard engineer, steam boiler operator, and maintenance. On the assault landing ship LPD-2 USS Vancouver, Roger deployed with the 7th Fleet to Vietnam. After leaving the Navy, Roger joined the New York Army National Guard, serving 18 years. He participated in the Marksmanship Training Unit and the Rifle Team. Roger traveled throughout the United States, taking part in numerous competition events to advance as a successful High Master Rifle shooter, the highest award in competitive shooting. Roger Sayward. Chris Tedford, U.S. Marine Corps, 1994 to 1998, Iraq combat veteran. U.S. Air Force, Vermont National Guard, 2010 to the present. Chris served in the infantry, securing and evacuating civilians in Liberia, Central Republic of Africa, and humanitarian duty in Bosnia. Chris trained in jungle warfare in Panama, rock climbing in West Virginia, mountain warfare in Slavonia, and helicopter rappelling at Camp Lejeune. Chris left the Marines for civilian life. 13 years later, when his sister Megan joined the Air Force, Chris decided to follow her. As a munitions builder, Chris helped build 822 bombs, all delivered on target. Chris and Megan serve in the Vermont National Guard, a family affair. Megan loads the weapons her brother builds. Chris Tedford. Harry Treadway, co-leader today, flight leader, U.S. Army, 1967 to 1970, Vietnam combat veteran. Harry served as a combat engineer, 18th Engineer Brigade, on 2 consecutive tours. He was with 2 Corps, the largest command in Vietnam. Harry spent over 2 months in the Central Highlands and was involved during the Tet Offensive. Often assigned to temporary duty, TDY, Harry finally returned to base to learn the commanding officer and sergeant in charge had changed. Harry had been marked AWOL. Harry's scariest moment was flying on a C-130 to Pleiku. The co-pilot announced the base was being shelled, so they wouldn't stop, but they were lowering the rear ramp. The troops could roll off and find a bunker. Harry had second thoughts about having signed up for a second tour. For his valor, Harry was awarded a Silver Star in lieu of 5 Bronze Stars, of which he has 7. Harry Treadway. Gregory Lee, co-flight leader, U.S. Marine Corps, 1968 to 1970. Vietnam combat veteran. Greg had basic training at Parris Island Camp Lejeune and jungle training at Camp Pendleton. Assigned to 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines as a machine gunner with a 0331 M60 machine gun, Greg, one of the smallest guys, had the biggest weapon. Employed in Quang Tri Province on patrol, Greg was in the bush when a Viet Cong stepped on his foot. A Marine behind Greg shot the enemy before he could shoot Greg. At Hill 41 on patrol, Greg was wounded the first time. He said it was minor. Shrapnel went into the back of his neck. He couldn't turn his head and was medevaced to the hospital ship Sanctuary. He spent 2 weeks there, but enjoyed the hot food. Greg's second wounding occurred when friendly fire missed its target and dropped a bomb close to the Marines. Greg sustained shrapnel wounds in both legs, lost his hearing, and his right arm was amputated. When the medevac helicopter finally arrived, Greg was wrapped in a flimsy cloth with a Velcro-type strap. The chopper dropped down a chain, and Greg was lifted straight up, not parallel. As Greg was spinning on the way up, he was, quote, waiting to be shot. Greg spent 13 months in various hospitals. Greg was 17 years old when he received 2 Purple Hearts for his combat valor. Greg Lee is a patriot and a true American hero. Gregory Lee. Excuse me. It's now my pleasure to introduce Flight 41. Flight Leader Barry Finnegan, also known by all as Honor Flight Executive Director. I can affirm, because I work so closely with him, that nobody works harder, puts in more hours, does more for Honor Flight than Barry Finnegan. It's my honor to read the bios for each veteran on Flight 41. Please respect each of them as we share their stories. John Aldous, U.S. Army, 1967 to 1970, Vietnam. After basic training, John attended counterintelligence agent school in Maryland. In Vietnam in 1968, he was in a Jeep accident and spent weeks in a hospital near the South China Sea. John was assigned to the Studies and Observation Group known as SOG. This was a highly classified, multi-service U.S. Special Operations Unit which conducted covert, unconventional operations in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. John participated in numerous night flights, hunting down Viet Cong and helicopter gunships and B-52s, going throughout Vietnam to different outposts, flying over a lot of ground. John Aldous. Robert Boswell, U.S. Air Force, 1966 to 1992, Vietnam. In charge of aircraft maintenance fuel systems, Bob said the C-130 planes had fuel tank fires. Bob pulled an airman almost dead from fumes out of a tank. An engineer, First Lieutenant Masterson, and Bob went to Alaska to study the fuel tank fires. They removed the reticulated foam. Using a protractor, the lieutenant determined pilots could not take off at more than a 17-degree altitude angle. Fires were eliminated, good job done, and lives saved. Bob was stationed at 9 Air Force bases throughout the States and overseas, plus 3 assignments at Plattsburgh Air Force Base, where he retired after 26 years of service to our country. Robert Boswell. Philip Davis, U.S. Marine Corps, 1956 to 1958, Cold War. 30 guys from Malone, the Adirondack Platoon, went to Albany to enlist. Phil's buddy failed the test, so he went home. In New York City, 400 recruits boarded a train to Beaufort, South Carolina, for basic training. A military policeman, Phil patrolled the perimeter of the Naval Weapons Station at Yorktown, Virginia. They would transport missiles onto barges that were loaded onto ships. It took a day and a half for them to go down and back to base. On January 7th, 1957, 6 inches of snow brought everything to a standstill. Used to 4 feet of snow, Phil found it amusing. The city plowed the base that had no plows. Philip Davis. Gerald Perrin, veteran guardian for Philip Davis. U.S. Army, 1966 to 1968, Vietnam. A Hawk missile launcher crewman, Jerry participated in launching a Hawk missile at White Sands, New Mexico. He said he's never seen anything more move so quickly, getting 2 miles downrange. Jerry spent most of his tour in most of his tour in Germany. General Westmoreland arrived next door at the Nike Hercules nuclear site. Soldiers were directed to have everything spotless should the general stop in. They were nervous, no passes given, and relieved the general didn't visit. On Christmas Eve, Jerry decided to call home. At a train station phone booth, the operator asked if he had a reserved line. He did not, and was told it took 24 hours to get one. No Christmas greetings for his family. Gerald Perrin. Eddie Gelanu, U.S. Army, National Guard, 1966-1969, Vietnam. After basic training at Fort Dix, Eddie went on to Camp Johnson in Vermont, and he was assigned to the 131st Engineer Company in Vietnam. Eddie was stationed in the Central Highlands, making roads that were covered by muck and mud from a quarry next to the base. A good part of working in a construction battalion was having building materials nearby. Bridge ties made great barriers as they backfilled dirt 4 feet deep, making them impenetrable. Eddie Gyllenhaal. Warren Pat Gordon, U.S. Army, 1955-1957, Korean. Pat was in Army administration as an IBM operator. He was stationed in hot Japan. It was humid except where the IBM collators, interpreters, and reproducers were. They had an air conditioner. Japan was still dangerous. Pat said they were shot at, there were kidnappings, and obvious anger about World War II. Seeing Hiroshima was traumatic. 10 years later, there were still bombs and various remnants. People with deformities were very prevalent. Pat says all people should go in the service. Warren Pat Gordon. Thomas Dave Hornell, U.S. Air Force, 1963-1984, Vietnam. Dave joined the Canadian Army at age 17. At 19, he moved on to the Canadian Air Force and trained for ground control radar above the Arctic Circle. Decided he didn't want that. He then settled in with the U.S. Air Force, where he served 22 years. In 1968, a general learning Dave was Canadian, working in the U.S. Air Force, assigned Dave to the Army 101st Airborne Division, Vietnam. Returning to the Air Force, Dave went up the ranks to Weather Station Operations Supervisor, providing weather support to bases across the country, the White House, Camp David, Joint Chiefs, and heads of state. We knew Dave would bring us good weather for this flight today. Thomas Dave Hornell. James King, U.S. Army, 1964 to 1966, Vietnam. Assigned to the 7th Infantry Division, Combat Engineers, Jim was among 2,500 troops for 2 weeks in rough waters heading to Korea. Jim, an electrician, went to Camp Casey, about 40 miles north of Seoul. One hot day, and in spite of Jim saying it was not a good idea, a lieutenant ordered Jim to shut down a 60-kilowatt generator. Soon, an upset major approached Jim and told him to restart the generator. The general was in the middle of a briefing and not happy. Back at base, the major apologized for yelling at Jim and asked if there was something he could do for him. Quickly, Jim said it's hard to lay cable with an M16, and could he get a .45 pistol? Jim got the pistol, the lieutenant got the M16. James King. William Letourneau, U.S. Army, 1965 to 1971, Vietnam. Bill was assigned to the 12-820 Combat Engineer Battalion, which played a significant role supporting U.S. and Allied forces in Vietnam. They built bridges, roads, helicopter pads, buildings as large as football fields to repair tanks. Bill said they finished building a bridge and went back to barracks. 2 days in a row, the Viet Cong blew up the bridges overnight. The Green Berets were called in and the bridges remained built. Bill and his buddies were eating lunch sitting on a bank. Bill saw something shiny, recognized a landmark. As they backtracked to safety, a C-4 plane blew up the landmine. If he hadn't noticed the landmine, Bill wouldn't be with us today. We're sure glad you're here. William Letourneau. David Pickering, U.S. Marines, 1966 to 1968, Vietnam. After high school graduation, Dave entered the Marine Corps. At 19 years old, he was in Quang Thien, South Vietnam, attached to the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marine Division. Dave was shot in the back during a Viet Cong ambush in a rice paddy. 2/3 of the company were killed, including one of his buddies, who was standing 10 feet from him. Dave was taken to a Vietnam hospital and the next day flown to a hospital in Japan, where he was treated for his shoulder wound. Dave, an MOS 0311 infantry rifleman, received a Purple Heart and several other medals in recognition of his battle wounds and bravery. Dave has attended our ceremonies as an honor guard since we started, and we are delighted to finally have him on a flight. David Pickering. Dale Robart Sr., U.S. Navy, 1970 to 1976, Vietnam. Dale was on board the destroyer USS D'Amato when he received the blue nose by crossing the Arctic Circle. Wearing a jacket in the boiler room was a necessity. At Guantanamo, Dale said there were armed guards from both sides. Dale said no one could go on off base and Cuban help lived on base. The Mediterranean cruise made it all worthwhile. Dave climbed up the main mast of the ship to get a commissioning pendant. The ship's commander said, quote, "If you're dumb enough to go up there, you can keep it." Dale Robart Sr. Edward Robart Jr., yes, he's a brother. U.S. Navy, 1968 to 1988, Vietnam. Ed served 2 years in Vietnam, and he was then called from Vietnam to Korea on an expeditionary force. On the USS Ranger, the sound of bullets hitting the deck from M16s was harassing. The Phantoms flew in and quickly took care of the M16s. Ed sailed the world on 7 ships: the USS Kitty Hawk, Midway, Coral Sea, Saratoga, Ranger, Lexington, and Constellation. Ed received many medals and commendations for his 20 years of service to our country. Edward Robart Jr. George Silver, U.S. Army, 1960 to 1963, Vietnam. George was assigned to Company C5 Special Services Group and 1st Special Services 3rd Division. George trained as a Special Forces medical technician. He also received training as a jump qualified parachutist, jumping out of several different planes and helicopters. During his tour in Vietnam, George was in the Tay Ninh province, close to the Cambodia border and near the infamous Ho Chi Minh Trail. Arriving at Fort Benning, Georgia, George was assigned to the 101st Airborne Special Experimental Platoon. The French had developed a wire-guided missile system. George said the program didn't work, but it was a lot of fun. I also just want to put a side note. George has been seriously ill. This is the 3rd time we've tried to get him on a flight this year, and we're sure happy to have him here. George Silver. Lynn Shepard, Veteran Guardian for George Silver, U.S. Army, 1968 to 1971, Vietnam. Lynn was assigned to 1st Field Force, 7th Battalion, 13th Army. During the Tet Offensive, Lynn provided ammunitions and supplies to the field battalions. While on a munitions convoy, their unit was ambushed by the Viet Cong, who attempted to take out the radio command vehicle to break communications and take control of important Army communications equipment. Lynn thought he was stung by a hornet, but it was a glass fragment that struck him when the vehicle's driver's side mirror was hit by enemy weapons fire. Lynn Shepard. George Tallman, U.S. Air Force, 1968 to 1988, Vietnam. George, an environmental medicine technician, began his military career as a food inspector. He checked chemicals on planes to assure there were no communicable diseases. George had the honor of flying on Air Force One with President Richard Nixon. George said the worst country he was assigned to was Turkey, and the best was Germany. When George's father died, his mother couldn't raise all their children. 5 families saved him. A cocky teenager at the time, the military took care of that. George is most proud of staying with the Air Force for 20 years. He retired from Plattsburgh Air Force Base with several medals and commendations from his 20 years of service to our country. George Tallman. With this absolutely amazing turnout today, let's have a rounding applause for every one of these families.
Thank you, Janet. And our thanks to all of you for attending this morning. You are welcome to join the motorcade over to the airport FBO, which is located at 1 Alabama Avenue. We will not be going to the airport terminal this trip. As the procession circles the parking lot, the buses will peel off to enter the Nose Dock 1 hangar. This time around, there will be limited views of the veterans boarding the aircraft. Of course, though, on the way over, there will be a Homeland Security helicopter escorting the veterans. Probably hearing that coming right now. And of course, we'll see the first responders lining New York Road with the giant flag. They will be greeting the veterans as well. How you doing? Remember, tonight at 8:30, the veterans will be returning back home. A big reception is planned for them right back here at the Oval. So we hope you can make it back to help provide them with a warm welcome home. Thank you so much for coming and supporting North Country Honor Flight.
As always, an excellent job. My challenge at this point is to get the entourage as they leave that parking area. Circle the Oval. Unfortunately for me, all year long, because there have been so many bikers, I can get them when they're leaving here, but by the time the last one comes out, I'm not able to get them up at the corner up there, so I get the latter part of the little parade that they have leaving the grounds. That parade will start momentarily, although there are some bikers who are heading out for whatever reason ahead of the official parade. We have a chopper that's, if I can keep it in focus here, looks like we've lost the focus, there it is, circling the Oval. Very shortly, the freighter vehicles will take off. I'm sure they want to make sure everybody is set in the buses that the veterans are riding in. The bus is in position. Looks like this will be the official start of the parade. I wish we could get a head-on view of them, but the extra steps would take to get to the corner for the next view would add another 2 minutes to our walk here. Honor flights number 40 and 41 as we hear the helicopter flying over us. Chopper is hovering over the parking area. The last of the bikes. Also an excellent turnout from law enforcement and first responders. Bus. Quick shot of that chopper. And we'll take one look at that chopper here as we head for our next view. And we were almost able to make it in time. 10 years ago I could have. I'll have to forgive the bouncing as we get in position here. Kevin trailer vehicle. And there you have it, the entourage heading for the Plattsburgh International Airport with the flights 40 and 41 as of today, 620 North Country military veterans have taken that honor flight thanks to the hard-working efforts of the folks behind the North Country honor flight and the generosity of so many people in the North Country. So thank you for watching and supporting viewer-supported local television. It's our pleasure to have covered all 40 of these events thus far.